The Uber driver turned around and asked, "Are you sure you want me to leave you here alone? What do you mean by that?" I stared at my Uber driver Carlos. We just pulled up to my apartment complex after a long day at work, but instead of ending the ride, he was studying my building with genuine concern. "Ma'am, I've been driving for 5 years, and something's not right here," he said quietly. "There's a black sedan that's been following us for the past 20 minutes. Same car, keeping exactly 3 cars behind us the whole drive. He just pulled into your parking lot right after we did." I turned to look out the back window, and my blood ran cold. There was indeed a black car parked under the streetlight near the entrance, with someone still sitting inside watching our vehicle. Carlos continued while keeping his voice low. "I first noticed him when we left your office building. I thought it was coincidence, but he followed us through 8 different turns, including that detour when I missed the highway exit. Nobody takes that exact route by accident. When I tested him by slowing down, he slowed down. When I sped up, he matched my speed perfectly." My heart started pounding as Carlos pulled out his phone and showed me photos he'd taken at red lights. The license plate was clearly visible, and the driver was definitely focused on our car rather than the road. "This is going to sound paranoid, but I think you should call someone before getting out," Carlos said urgently. "I've seen this behavior before, and people who follow others this systematically aren't planning anything good. The way he's been tracking us suggests he knows your routine and where you live." I tried to think of anyone who might follow me, but I lived quietly with no drama or enemies. Then I remembered recent things that hadn't seemed significant, the feeling of being watched, the same dark car in my mirrors, my neighbor mentioning someone asking about my schedule. Carlos was scrolling through his driver history when his expression changed to confusion. "Ma'am, this is strange. I've had 3 other ride requests to pick you up from your work address in the past 2 weeks, but when I arrived, you weren't there. Someone kept calling in rides under your name and then no showing." The realization hit me like ice water. Someone had been impersonating me to learn my work schedule and commute patterns. They'd been calling multiple Uber drivers, pretending to be me, asking detailed questions about pickup times and routes home. Carlos continued checking his phone. The other drivers in our group chat mentioned the same thing: fake ride request from your phone number, always asking about the safest route to your apartment and what time you usually get home from work. Someone's been systematically gathering information about your routine. That's when Carlos noticed something that made him grab my arm urgently. "He's getting out of the car," he whispered. The man from the black sedan was walking directly toward us with determined steps, no longer trying to hide his presence. Carlos immediately started the engine and began backing out of the parking space. "We need to leave right now," he said, his voice tight with fear. But the man started jogging toward our car, and I could see his face clearly now. It was someone I recognized but couldn't immediately place. Carlos floored the gas, racing toward the complex exit while calling 911 on his hands-free system. The man jumped back into his sedan and followed us, this time making no attempt to hide his pursuit. The chase lasted nearly 10 minutes through residential streets, with Carlos taking random turns while staying on the line with the 911 dispatcher, who was coordinating with patrol units in the area. The man in the black sedan was driving aggressively, trying to get alongside our car while we sped through neighborhoods. Finally, Carlos spotted flashing lights ahead and drove straight toward them, 2 police cars that had been positioned as a roadblock after the dispatcher's instructions. The black sedan couldn't stop in time and skidded into a utility pole. When officers pulled the driver out, I recognized him with sick certainty. It was my apartment building's property manager who had access to tenant information and had been using resident phone numbers to impersonate tenants. Police found detailed files on multiple female residents, fake ID cards, and evidence that he'd been calling ride services while pretending to be different women to learn their schedules and routines. Carlos's instincts had prevented what investigators confirmed was a systematic stalking operation targeting vulnerable female tenants.